Hi guys, it's Toby here, the e-commerce business coach. In this training, I'm going to focus on what you need to do to make sure you got the right product range on your e-commerce store and that you're selling it for the right price. It's vital in your success in an e-commerce store that you have the right products at the right price. And especially if you're new, you need to make sure you have a viable product range that's going to make you the money. Without the right products, you've got nothing. So in this training, I'm going to show you some of the key steps that I go through with my clients to make sure they've got the right products on their e-commerce store. The first thing you need to do is to make sure you've picked your niche and then you match your products to that niche. Now, niche really is your target market or the target of that or a target of the target. It's a small chunk of customers that you want to target that you can provide products to much better than anyone else can. And it's important you do that because you can't take on the Amazons of the world. So you need to attract traffic to you in that niche. So people would like to come from you because they know you know that niche well. An example I can give you there is I've got a client who they're selling glamping equipment, so tents for high level or comfortable camping. So that's their niche. They've picked their niche, and so they understand what their niche is. Then we can provide products, information, tips, tricks, deals, all centered around that niche. And then you need to build products around that niche too. And a mistake I often see people make is they have a product range that doesn't match that niche. So they might have, okay, we're focusing on tents, but then we've got cleaning equipment. And it doesn't quite make sense. And sometimes people do that when they've got drop shipping and they can access the products and they go, well, it doesn't hurt to have it on there. But it can do. You want your products to match your niche. That's the first thing you need to consider. Once you've identified your niche, then you need to think about, okay, what are the core product offering that I want? What are the key products that are going to attract people into my store? So these are the products you're going to put marketing behind. You're going to spend money on Meta. You're going to spend money on Google Ads to attract people in. And they're big ticket items that are going to attract people in. Often when you look at e-commerce stores, most of their sales comes from 80% of their sales comes from a small group of their products. It's the 80-20 rule quite often. So you're going to work out what that 20% of your products is, where the money's going to come from. That's your core offering. Then you can add on products around that people might buy. So if you attract them in for that one product, what else can we sell them while they're here that still matches the niche and helps us to increase our average order value and or to get them back in. Now you need to be careful when you're doing this, especially when you're new or you're still a smaller business. You don't want your product range too wide. And as Gordon Ramsay says, when he goes and sees the restaurants, the first thing he usually does is cut the menu down. That's what you need to do in your store to make sure you've got core products that fit your niche and then have add-on products to that, but not too many. And that's because it's simply the cost involved in holding a line of stock can be quite significant. And if that stock doesn't move, then it's going to be dead stock and you're going to lose money. So you don't want to start too wide. Start thin with a core, add on products around that, and then look at growing down the track. The next thing to consider in your e-commerce store when you're looking at products is repeat sales. Now, one of the key things that you want to do or you want to have ideally in your e-commerce store is repeat sales. You want customers coming back and buying you off you again. Now some industries aren't like that and they are really just one-off sales and then word of mouth for other people. But if you can find some sort of consumable element to what you're selling or your range of products, that really helps. And the reason why it helps is because it obviously costs you a lot of money to get a customer. So to get someone to your site, you've probably paid Google or Meta to get them there. You're going to have to convert them. There's an acquisition cost. There's a cost of buying that customer. Now, if they just buy off you once, that means you're not getting that much return on buying that customer. And you have to go out and buy more. If they come back to you on a regular basis, the lifetime value of that customer goes up massively, and that's where your profit will go up massively too. Otherwise, effectively, you're just a promotional business and you're constantly having to get new customers. That can work, but your margins need to be high for that to work, which we'll talk about margins in a minute. But if you can get something that's more on a repeat basis, that will massively help your profits. And the ideal scenario is to get somebody on auto ship or get them to subscribe to your products. That's the holy grail. So think about what you can do to get repeat business on your site. The next step I look at when I'm looking at the product range of my e-commerce clients is to look at vertical expansion of their product range. So vertical expansion means different sizes, colors, flavors, models, all of that type of thing. So you want to add some more on that will focus on different areas. So that way then you can increase the range and potentially increase what you're selling. So I've got a client who actually sell CMOS gel. They've got a core product, they're OG. Over time they've then developed a suite of different flavors. And each flavor represents or focuses on a different health benefit or a different target group. And that can work quite well. Still, they get a vast majority of their sales from the OG, but they also now get a lot of sales from the other flavors too as well. It gives people other options. They've also then got size options. They've got different size options, different flavors. And so it gives people more options, and that's what you need to think about on your site. Don't go too wide again, don't go too crazy. You don't want to have too many SKUs. You want to be careful with that, but that's what you're looking to do. Once you've done vertical expansion, then you can look at horizontal expansion. And horizontal expansion is to other products that match your niche that you're selling to. So that's other stuff we can sell to them that makes sense and matches what you do, your niche, to your customers. And then you can look at adding those products on. Now, that's really important you do that, but you want to do that slowly and you want to have a bit of a plan for bringing that online. So you need a roadmap for your products that you're going to release. Part of that roadmap and part of that planning, you need to plan out costings for that as well, because it's going to cost you money and, more importantly, cash to get that new product online, and that cash is going to go out your bank account before you start getting it back in sales. So sometimes if a business or an e-commerce business tries to grow too quickly and bring on too many products too soon, cash gets eaten up very quickly. You need to have a plan in place, not just for the products, but for the cash as well. So don't go too fast. Roll them out slowly. Some of the products you bring on aren't going to work. Some of them will work really well. So you need to be prepared for that. So make sure you plan that expansion properly. Okay, so we talked about getting the right products. Now we need to get the products selling at the right price, and so that you're earning the right margins. Now, margin is vitally important to your success in an e-commerce store, and it's often where e-commerce owners don't look or brush over because they don't really understand the numbers of their business. They focus on driving sales, which is important, but you need to focus on gross profit as well. But first, let's kind of go through exactly what gross profit is so you understand what it is we're looking at here. So I've drawn out some examples here. So here we see a product. This e-commerce store sells for $100. This product costs them $40. So that could be the cost of them buying the product, or it could be the cost of their manufacturing and the materials that go into manufacturing that product. You need to know these numbers. If you don't know these numbers, this is where you first need to start. Then after that, that's what's your gross profit. So this example, the gross profit is $60. So they make $60 for every sale of this product at $100. That as a percentage, which is your gross profit margin, is 60%. So that means 60% of your sales are left after paying your cost of sales, and the cost of the product, either to buy it, including the shipping, or the ingredients and the or materials, plus the labor to make it. So you need to know those numbers first and foremost, but that's your gross profit margin. That's what's left. Now, what often happens is people get that mixed up with markup. So markup is something different. Markup is going your cost price, so in this example, $40. We're going to sell it for 100. That's a 250% markup. So 2.5 times we're marking up the value of the cost to get to the sales price, which will give us a 60% margin. Now the problem is people often will mix them up and they think their margin is higher because the markup amount's higher, when in fact their margins are lower. The margin's always lower than your markup value. So first things first is really understanding what this is, what it means, and then it's about then you looking at your products to see where you sit. But as an example, I'm working with a client at the moment. We're looking at improving their margins by 4 percentage points. So in this example, that's going from 60% to 64%. Now we're doing this, they manufacture their own products, so we're doing this by introducing labor saving techniques and equipment. But we've worked out if we do that, it's going to add another $450,000 onto their gross profit, which will go straight to their net profit because there's no other additional costs. So its net profit will go up by $450,000 by just improving their gross margin by 4 percentage points. This is why it's really important that you focus on your margins, and this is where you'll get your biggest improvements when you're looking to improve your profit. Okay, if you got this far, great stuff. Keep going. You're getting some really useful information here that's going to really help you with your product range. The next thing you need to think about though is your target gross profit that you want from your products. So we now understand what gross profit is. You need to kind of put all your products into a spreadsheet, work out what your sales cost is, ignoring GST, work out what your costs are, ignoring GST, minus the two off of each other, that's your gross profit. Do that as a percentage so you can see all your products, what percentage you're making. Now we can start to say, okay, we got the right sales price here. Are we making enough profit from these products? Now a good target margin depends mainly on whether you are producing and selling your own products or you're reselling somebody else's products. If you're producing and selling your own products, your margin should be 60 to 80%. So 60 to 80% should be what's left. And that's because ultimately you're manufacturing the product yourself and you're selling direct to a consumer. So there should be a nice margin in that. And the reason why you do that as well is because when you want to sell wholesale, which you should do if you've got your own product range, you're going to need to share that margin with the retailer that you wholesale to. So if you're at 80%, you get 40% each. They will need to make a good margin too. So that's why you want that 60 to 80% margin. So you've got some fat in there so you're able to do that. The other thing then is as well is you need to think about if you are reselling other people's products, then you want your margin to be 30 to 60%. Ideally to more towards the 60%. Because you still need to make enough money to cover your marketing costs. To get customers in e-commerce, you're going to have to pay Google or Meta to get that traffic most of the time. So there is an acquisition cost to getting that sale. So you need to build that into your margins to make sure that you've got enough profit to make ideally a profit on that first sale, or ideally as quickly as possible in the lifetime value of that customer. So you need to build that in. The other thing you need to think about and consider as well is shipping. Shipping is obviously a huge subject from an e-commerce point of view, but if you do offer free shipping, then it is easier to sell. People like free shipping or even a fixed lower level price shipping, but often that means you'll be losing money on shipping, which goes into your margins. So your margins need to be built up enough to cover the shipping costs as well. And obviously you've got to think about rural areas and stuff like that in this scenario too. But you need to be making enough money on your products so that at the end of it, you can cover your marketing costs and you can cover your shipping costs. So 30 to 60% or 60 to 80%. Now, when you're looking at your products and you've got them in a spreadsheet and you can see some that are lower margins, then you need to look at, okay, how can I up the margin on that product? Is there capacity for increasing the sales price? Is there capacity for switching it out to something else, or getting a cheaper version or a cheaper product where the margins are higher? Do we really need to stock that product, or should we stop that range because the margins are too low? Because what you want to ultimately end up with is increasing your margins overall. So even if you get the 4% margin points increase like the others did, then you can add hundreds of thousands of dollars onto your profit too. So it's really important that not only you get the right products, but it's the right products at the right price or the right margin. Congratulations for getting this far. Now you need to go away and implement this stuff into your e-commerce store. Let's have a look at your range. Let's have a look at the categories in that range. Let's look at your margins. What products should you add? What products could you take away to make sure you have the right product range for your e-commerce store? If you've got any questions, then please, by all means, leave a comment below. If you like this training, make sure you subscribe. There'll be plenty more training like this. There's also a link below in the description if you want any help with this. Book in a call or we can discuss how we can help. Otherwise, I just look forward to seeing you next time. Cheers.